Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on the existing conditions for the I-710 South Corridor. On behalf of the 710 Task Force project team, my name is Michael Cano. I am the Deputy Executive Officer at LA Metro, helping oversee this process on behalf of Metro and Caltrans to develop an investment plan that will improve the transportation system in the communities within the I-710 South Corridor. Right now, we're at the phase where we're looking at existing conditions and learning about the disparities in the impacts and the benefits needed within the 710 South Corridor. And we hope that this presentation allows you to learn more about the corridor, understand more of the data surrounding the various elements of the 710 South Corridor, and to help us to inform our development of our vision and goals, both as a member of the public or as a 710 Task Force member as we move into that process in 2022. In this presentation here, we're going to be going over various elements of the 710 South Corridor, including just the overview of the study area itself in terms of what it looks like and who lives and works within the study area. We're going to be looking at the mobility options and the trends and the challenges that exist within the 710 South Corridor study area. And then we're also going to be looking at the community impacts that are experienced within the study area. At the conclusion of this discussion, we're going to be going over next steps and the kind of input and feedback we are seeking from you as we bring this information into our task force meetings, starting with our January 10th, 2022 meeting coming up. We appreciate your time and your feedback, and we especially hope that you are able to share your thoughts and input with us directly and to help us develop an investment plan that works for the residents and the businesses and the people that travel through the 710 South Corridor. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to our speakers who will be narrating the slides and the data sets in the coming sections. They are Gary Hamrick from Cambridge Systematics and Ari Cohen from AECOM. Thank you.
What makes up the I-710 corridor study area? For purposes of this analysis, the study area is preliminarily defined as including the full extent of I-710 freeway from the southern end in Long Beach up to SR-60 freeway, plus key parallel and arterial roadways, and it includes all or portions of 19 cities and areas of unincorporated Los Angeles County.
1.2 million residents live in the study area, which is 12% of LA County's total population. The study area's highest population densities, which are measured in persons per net acre, are located in northern areas surrounding East LA, Huntington Park and Southgate, and in downtown Long Beach, as shown in the darker shades of blue on the map. Other higher density areas are located near Linwood, Paramount, North Long Beach, and Wilmington. In terms of employment density, or employees per net acre, 500,000 jobs are located in the study area, which is 11% of LA County's total jobs. As shown in the map in the darker shades of blue, there are several pockets of higher employment density, including downtown Long Beach, East LA, the City of Commerce, Carson Dominguez Hills, areas west of I-710 between the 91 and 105 freeways, and near the Long Beach Airport. Looking at the number of jobs by industry sector in the study area, the top sectors shown in increasing order from left to right include commercial, professional services, industrial, and other services. As shown in the maps, commercial and professional opportunities are scattered throughout the study area, with larger clusters to the north near downtown LA. Industrial jobs are clearly clustered around the Port of LA, the Port of Long Beach, and areas directly adjacent to the I-710 corridor, such as Wilmington, Carson, Southgate, and Vernon. High concentrations of other service jobs, which make up the greatest number of jobs overall, are found in most of the study area with the exception of industrial areas. Comparing the study area to the county as a whole, we can see that the study area has substantially more industrial jobs, shown in yellow, and fewer professional services jobs, shown in green. In addition, there are fewer other services jobs, shown in blue, and more commercial jobs, shown in teal, in the study area. Shifting now to race and ethnicity, the maps on this slide show the breakdown of populations by race and ethnicity within the study area. These maps use data and categories from the US Census Bureau, so it's important to acknowledge that these categories do not capture the full range of identities represented in the study area or the preferred terminology with which some communities and individuals identify. We can see that residents who identify as Hispanic, shown on the far right map, are the most prevalent population within the study area. Wilmington, downtown Long Beach, and areas generally north of the 91 freeway include a higher density population of residents who identify as Hispanic. Residents who identify as Asian are the least prevalent in the study area, with the highest concentrations generally south of the 91 freeway and within West Long Beach. Residents who identify as white, shown in the second map, are generally concentrated within areas of Long Beach, around Lakewood, and in the north near downtown Los Angeles. Residents who identify as Black, shown in the third map, are generally concentrated south of the I-105 freeway, specifically in areas of Compton and Linwood. As seen on this map, most block groups within the study area contain over 80% of residents who identify with a race other than white. Now comparing the study area to the county as a whole, we can see that the study area contains a substantially higher percentage of residents that identify as Hispanic, shown in purple, and substantially fewer residents that identify as white, shown in yellow, and Asian, shown in blue. The study area and the county share the same proportion of residents who identify as Black, shown in green. Comparing household income in the study area, which is shown in green, to the county, shown in teal, we can see that the study area contains a higher proportion of households making under $100,000 a year, which is shown in each of the top 3 categories of this graph, and a lower proportion of households making over $100,000 a year, shown in each of the bottom 2 categories. As we can see in the graph to the left, the study area as a whole has a median household income of $56,000. That's nearly $20,000 less than LA County's median household income. Within the study area, we can see that the highest proportion of households making over $200,000, shown in the dark blue, are areas within and surrounding Long Beach, Lakewood, and Downey. Collectively, areas west of the I-710 freeway appear to have slightly lower median household incomes than areas to the east. The northern portion of the study area contains the highest proportion of households making below $50,000 a year. Looking at poverty level, compared to LA County, the study area contains a greater percentage of households below the poverty level. The Census Bureau uses a set of money income thresholds that vary by family size and composition to determine who is in poverty. If a family's total income is less than the family's threshold, then that family and every individual in it is considered to be in poverty. The official poverty thresholds don't vary geographically, but they are updated for inflation using the Consumer Price Index. As you can see on the map, there are concentrations of residents below the poverty level throughout the study area, including in parts of Long Beach, Wilmington, Linwood, and much of the northern portion of the study area. Looking at the age breakdown in the study area compared to the county, we see that the study area, shown in green, contains a younger population on average relative to the county, shown in teal. Within the study area, areas with the most individuals over 65 years old include Lakewood, Downey, and portions of Long Beach. Generally, areas to the west of I-710 tend to be younger than those to the east. Compared with LA County, the study area contains a greater proportion of individuals with a disability, which is defined by the census as a serious difficulty with hearing, vision, cognition, and/or ambulation. As you can see on the map to the right, disability rates vary throughout the study area. Compared with LA County, we can see in the graph to the left that the study area contains a greater proportion of zero-vehicle households than the county as a whole. Downtown Long Beach contains the highest concentration of zero-vehicle households, and the northern portion of the study area also has lower auto ownership rates.
The I-710 in the study area is about 19 miles in length, has about 3 to 4 lanes in each direction depending on location, and it crosses 4 freeway interchanges. In addition, there are many key arterials paralleling and crossing the I-710. There are multiple transit services within and touching the corridor, including Metro Rail and Bus, Metrolink, Long Beach Transit, and other services. Metro Blue and Green lines are important rail services within the 710 corridor along with others. And it's important to note that Metro's next gen bus plan will result in changes to the bus system to balance service speed, access, and reliability. Those are being implemented now. Currently, there are about 111,000 daily total Metro bus and rail boardings in the study area. This represents about 8.5% of all Metro rail boardings occur within the study area compared to the entire Metro rail system. Metro rail ridership has dropped significantly from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic levels. This is a national trend with lower transit usage throughout the country, LA County, and the state of California. Study area is also served by bicycle facilities. There is a continuous north-south protected bike lane along the LA River, which provides continuous north-south bike access. However, as shown by the map, there is a significant lack of designated bike routes in much of the study area, especially in the northern cities. The green lines represent existing bike routes. You can see that there are a lack of bike facilities and routes in many of the cities, particularly in the northern area. Also, many of the LA 710 and LA River east-west crossings do not have designated bike lanes. So it's more difficult for people to get across both the freeway and the river due to the lack of bike lanes, missing or unpaved or narrow sidewalks, making crossing the freeway and the river safely difficult for bicycle and pedestrians in many locations. In terms of what types of land use there are in the study area, this study area has more industrial, more residential, less commercial, and less office land use than the county as a whole. You can see that the largest proportion of land use is in fact residential, followed by a large concentration of industrial. And this map shows, for people who live and work in the study area, you already know where the big concentrations of warehousing, rail yards, industry are located. And next to all of those, in many cases directly located, proximity to those is residential land uses. In terms of how people get to work, more people carpool, drive their cars, and less work from home as compared to the county, but double the number use transit as compared to the county. However, you also note that still almost 3/4 of the people drive themselves alone to work. Drive alone and carpool, as mentioned, are still the predominant mode for the study area residents to get to work, as shown by particularly the two maps on the right-hand side showing the density of people who carpool and drive alone. Study area contains many arterials with high levels of delay or greater congestion. Traffic has been better during COVID, but it is now returning both in this study area and throughout the state. In terms of speeds and congestion on the arterial system, there seems to be greater morning congestion in the northbound direction, but many arterials do experience slow speeds. The PM peak hour, the evening afternoon rush hour, experiences substantially lower average vehicle speeds than the AM, indicating more congestion in the evening hours. Again, those of us who live and work in the study area certainly understand and experience this. Driving on the I-710 freeway itself, much of the 710 freeway is congested and has speeds under 45 miles per hour, and a substantial portion of the corridor has speeds well under 35 miles per hour. Again, as we know, driving the freeway during the peak hours, the peak rush hours, often that is down to a crawl where you come to a stop in many locations. The dark red lines indicate the areas of significant slowing and congestion during the worst morning peak hour. And in the evening peak hour, similarly, speeds are low in the evening with significant congestion. And you can see leaving the port in the afternoon, speeds are very low from the southern end of I-710 all the way up to north of the 105. This is both related to people leaving downtown Long Beach, as well as a significant amount of port truck traffic exiting the port. Northbound bottlenecks along I-710 include congestion points which occur throughout the study area. Some of the worst slowdowns occur at Willow Street, Long Beach Boulevard, Imperial Highway, and Atlantic Avenue in the northbound direction. In the southbound direction, the worst slowdowns occur at Florence and the I-405, with additional areas of slowing that are somewhat less at Paramount, Atlantic, Eastern, and some other areas. In terms of daily vehicle and person trips, or how much the freeway carries, freeway currently carries from a low of 144,000 trips per day south of the 405 up to over 300,000 vehicle trips per day between SR 91 and 105. Compare this to the highest known freeway volume in the country, and in fact locally is the I-405 just south of the LA County line that carries over 400,000. So the 710 is lower than that, but still carries a significant number at up to 300,000. Daily person trips, or the number of people in those vehicles, and because many vehicles have more than one person, range from 224,000 south of the 405 to over 500,000 between the SR 91 and 105. So that's people traveling in cars, as well as buses and carpools. Vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, is a very important measure of the transportation system and is becoming more important going forward with respect to greenhouse gas and generating emissions. The study area VMT is about 12% of the total LA County vehicle miles traveled. And this is split about half and half between freeways and arterial roadways. This map shows the VMT on the arterial roadways and the ones that have higher levels of VMT. The study area contains many arterials with high levels of VMT. High VMT arterials generally match the arterials with high delay and congestion. So where you have a lot of miles traveled, you also have a lot of congestion, just simply more vehicles taking up the roadway space and slowing the speeds and creating congestion. The I-710 carries extremely high truck volumes compared to other freeways. There's substantially higher truck volumes which occur at the southern end of the corridor near the ports, with nearly 40,000 daily heavy-duty trucks. This is much higher than any other freeway in the LA area, or perhaps even in the state of California. Truck trips do decrease significantly north of the I-105 freeway. However, they're still relatively high compared to your average urban arterial freeway. Most freeways carry in the range of 4 to 5% heavy-duty trucks, whereas the 710 carries well over 20%. This slide contains background information on crash and safety data. You can pause and read this detailed information later, and we'll walk through some maps displaying crash and safety information in the next few slides. This map shows bike or pedestrian crashes, as well as location and severity. So these would be crashes that involved either a bicyclist or a pedestrian, and oftentimes with vehicles, but they could have been other types of crashes as well involving bike or pedestrian. As you can see, downtown Long Beach has a high concentration of bicyclist or pedestrian involved crashes. Other areas with crash concentrations of bike and ped include parts of Lakewood, North Long Beach, Carson, Compton, East LA, Wilmington, and generally the northwestern portion of the study area. Similar to total bike and pedestrian crashes, higher concentrations of crashes with a fatality or serious injury occur in downtown Long Beach, Carson, Compton, Lakewood, and the northwest portion of the study area, as well as East Los Angeles. Now, talking about truck crashes predominantly occur along all truck routes, including freeways, which by definition are truck routes, and arterial roadways that allow truck movements. Not all arterials do allow trucks. In this case, particularly Alameda Street and Pacific Coast Highway have high concentrations of truck crashes due to their high number of truck trips that occur on those streets. Concentrations of truck crashes also occur in the areas with more industrial and warehousing land uses, such as the northern portion of the study area, areas near the ports, and the Rancho Dominguez area west of I-710, south of SR 91, where there's a preponderance of warehousing and industrial activity. This map shows the same data as the last map, but highlights areas where more truck-involved crashes occur with the red color. So you can sort of concentrate and see where the larger number of crashes are occurring, again, near the 710-405 interchange, along the 710 in general, at the 710-91, and certainly in the northern industrial and warehousing portion of the study area. Now, looking at all crashes, including location and severity, in this map, all crashes are shown, including vehicle-only, bicyclist-involved, pedestrian-involved crashes. The darker red colors indicate the relatively higher concentration of crashes where crashes are located close to one another and occur densely in one area. The northern portion of the study area, again, in downtown Long Beach, have the highest concentration of crashes, with other concentrations such as along the 710 freeway and even the 105 freeway, and some other areas such as the Huntington Park area. And finally, along the I-710 itself, so now just looking at the freeway, more fatalities and serious injuries occur at the 710-91 interchange, near Pacific Coast Highway, south of I-105, as well as at other isolated locations along the I-710 freeway. So this provides a summary of the existing crash data. This data is a summary of 3 years worth of information of all reported crashes through police reports, CHP, sheriff, or other city police departments where police reports were filled out for crashes.
Hi, my name is Susan Ambrosini. I'm with AECOM, and I'm going to present some existing condition slides for you, starting with environmental indicators. Let's first talk about tree canopy. So tree canopy refers to the layer of tree leaves, branches, and stems that provide tree coverage of the ground when viewed from above. Tree canopy is important because it helps to reduce temperatures, air pollution, provide shade, improve neighborhood aesthetics, improve quality of life, and attract businesses and residents. This map shows the population weighted percentage of the census tract area with tree canopy. So the areas shown in dark blue are census tracts with the least tree canopy coverage in the study area. So these areas include parts of East LA, Commerce, parts of Compton and Paramount, as well as these industrial areas in the area around the port. So conversely, parts of Lakewood are the areas with the best tree canopy coverage in the study area. Moving on to urban heat island effect. So urban heat islands occur when urban areas experience warmer temperatures than nearby rural areas due to differences in how the built environment absorbs and holds heat, leading to higher temperatures. These higher temperatures are created by heat absorptive surfaces like dark pavement and roofing, heat generating activities such as engines, air conditioning units, and generators, and the absence of vegetation. Even weather and geography can exacerbate urban heat island. For example, clear, calm weather without wind maximizes solar exposure and minimizes the amount of heat that can be swept away, and mountains can sometimes trap heat depending on airflows. Urban heat island is an important indicator because of the inequitable distribution of heat islands that disproportionately hurt vulnerable neighborhoods that are disproportionately impacted by higher temperatures. So looking at this map, this is an output of a sophisticated model that tries to predict the temperature differences caused by urban heat island impacts. So you'll notice here that the areas in the darker oranges are areas that are more impacted by higher temperatures. And as you move closer to the coast, there is less of an urban heat island impact. That is presumably because of access to the coast and potentially because of winds that impact and reduce the amount of urban heat island impacts in these areas. So East LA and Commerce, Downey, these are the areas with the greatest net difference in temperature caused by urban heat island. So moving on to economic indicators. The unemployment rate is one of the indicators of economic health of a city or neighborhood. Disparities in unemployment rates across neighborhoods and groups of people can indicate discrimination in the labor market and other issues such as access to jobs or lack of skills demanded by employers. This map shows the unemployment rate at the block group level. The data is from the 2019 5-year American Community Survey, which is part of the census. So the darker shades represent areas with higher unemployment rates. Areas in this sort of medium blue color and dark blue are all areas that have a higher unemployment rate than the LA County average in 2019, which was 6.1%. So you can see that this area is greatly impacted by a higher unemployment rate for much of the study area. And there are some concentrations, but they do tend to be spread out in many of the areas in the study area corridor, to a lesser extent parts of Lakewood and North Long Beach. So moving on to housing burden specifically for renters. The housing burden for renters is defined as the percentage of renters within a census block group who pay for over 30% of their household income on rent each month. So analyzing housing burden allows us to see the relationship between housing costs and income and provide a general sense of a household's ability to save money and pay for other basic needs such as food, transportation, and healthcare. So in certain areas, high renter housing burden rates can be seen in downtown, central Long Beach, and this can reflect the high cost of living and competitive rental markets in these urbanized locations with high renter populations, for example. So looking at the map here on the right, you'll see the areas in dark blue have the highest renter cost burden. So these are areas in the northern section near Commerce, East LA, Southgate, and then as mentioned earlier, parts of downtown Long Beach, for example. So looking at housing burden from a homeowner perspective looks a little bit different. So it's the same indicator of groups of people that are overly burdened by high housing costs, which impacts their ability to pay for other important services. This indicates a little bit more of a patchwork, but you'll see the areas that have over a 50% homeowner cost burden are sort of concentrated in Southgate areas, parts of Long Beach, for example, but there are pockets scattered throughout the study area. So next we'll look at accessibility to resources, starting with park access. So park access is defined as the percentage of population living within a walkable distance, which is a half mile of a park, beach, or open space of 1 acre or more. Park access is important because it plays an important role in supporting health and wellness in communities. Parks encourage physical activity, reduce chronic diseases, promote mental health, and foster community connections. So looking here at the map on the right, the areas in the dark blue is census tracts where less than 18% of the population have park access within a half mile. So you'll see pockets here within North Long Beach, within Paramount, within Huntington Park and Southgate, and parts of Downey as well. So one thing to note that this is parks greater than an acre. So it does not measure access to smaller neighborhood serving parks, which are an important community resource as well. So just noting that it's not the complete picture, but does give a sense of where there is a lack of parks. So talking next about supermarket access. Supermarket access is defined as the percentage of people in urban areas who live less than a half mile from a supermarket or large grocery store. Having access to the supermarket can encourage a better diet, eating behaviors, lower the cost of obtaining food, reduce chronic diseases, and lower the risk of food insecurity. Food insecurity is lack of consistent access to enough food for an active, healthy life. So this map here on the right, the areas in the dark blue are areas where less than 5% of the population is within a half mile of a supermarket or large grocery store. Areas in yellow have better supermarket access. So you can see that Lakewood, parts of Compton, Southgate, Huntington Park. Generally, Long Beach generally have good supermarket access, but then parts of Commerce in this industrial area here, of course, the airport, some of these non-residential areas don't have as good of supermarket access. So once we start to look at this information layered with a land use map and other information, it will help to tell the full story. But as a starting point, this gives you a sense of where the supermarkets are located within the study area. It is important to know that this data does not include smaller grocery stores, only larger format supermarkets. So looking at high quality transit access. Access to high quality transit helps increase physical activity, reduces air pollution, lowers diseases related to environmental factors, and promotes greater pedestrian and vehicular safety. This map shows SCAG's high-quality transit areas, which are defined as areas within a half mile of a well-serviced transit stop or a transit corridor with a 15-minute or less service frequency during commute hours. So about 3/4 of the residents in the study area reside within a half mile of a high-quality transit area. So the areas with lesser coverage outside that half mile are parts of Compton, Paramount, Lakewood, and Downey. And this will start to be really helpful when we start to layer this data or this map with other pieces of data as we further our equity analysis. So looking at LA River access, so you'll notice the LA River follows the 710 corridor very closely. It is a regional amenity, as you probably know, that provide walking paths, bicycle paths, and access to river adjacent parks and activities. So about 23% of residents in the study area reside within a half mile of the LA River bike path. So again, this will start to provide more information as we layer this map on top of other data sets and do a thorough equity analysis as part of our next step. So next, looking at public school access. School access is defined as a half mile from the nearest school. It does not include private schools, so this is just a look at public schools. And so you'll notice the area does coincide with the more residentially focused portions of the study area, and industrial areas do not include school locations. So nearly all of the residents in the 710 area reside within a half mile of the public school. There are some patches, of course, here that don't. And so again, as we layer this with other data points in the background, we'll start to get a more complete story of how this coincides with land uses, for example, within the study area.
My name is Julia Lester from Rambo US Consulting, and I will be presenting this air quality follow-up. At a previous meeting, members asked for more detail on sources contributing to the total diesel particulate matter, or DPM, map shown at that meeting. In particular, we will look at the 2018 diesel particulate matter distributions by the following sources: stationary combustion sources, ocean-going and other vessels, locomotives, off-road equipment, and on-road mobile sources. We'd like to thank the South Coast Air Quality Management District for the raw MATES-5 databases so we could prepare the maps I'll be sharing next. This is a map of stationary diesel combustion sources, mostly from commercial and industrial sources throughout the corridor. Overall, it contributes about 4% of the total diesel particulate matter in the corridor comes from these stationary sources. In the next slide, we take a look at ocean-going vessels, commercial harbor craft, and other boats. Most of these emissions are obviously concentrated near the port area. 29% of the diesel particulate matter within the corridor comes from these sources. Next, we have locomotives, which contribute 9% of the diesel particulate matter within the corridor. And you can see that this is heavily distributed around the on and off dock rails near the ports, along the Alameda corridor, and then up in the rail yards in the northern part of the corridor. The next category is off-road equipment. And this can include construction equipment, plus also cargo handling equipment, such as box loaders, forklifts, other cargo handling equipment that is used not only at the ports, but also at warehouses and in other industrial areas. You can see that the emissions here correlate to the industrial land uses within the corridor. About 32% of the diesel particulate matter within the corridor comes from this off-road equipment sources. Next, we take a look at on-road mobile sources. This includes light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles and looks only at those particulate matter emissions from diesel sources. These sources obviously align mostly with the freeway along the 710, 405, 605, and the 5 to the north, although we also see contributions at some of the arterials that are near these freeways. 26% of the 2018 diesel particulate matter in the corridor comes from these on-road mobile sources, although I would note that because of the ARB's truck and bus rule, we'd expect about a 30% reduction in these sources by 2023. Lastly, bringing it all together, we'll take a look at all of the sources throughout the area and the contributions similar to the map that was produced previously. Thank you very much.
Now let's talk about some transportation system conditions in the corridor to supplement the data that was reviewed in prior presentations. LA Metro worked with other agencies to create the Countywide Strategic Truck Arterial Network, also called C-STAN. Most cities have their own designated truck networks, and the C-STAN supplements those city-level truck systems. Purposes of the C-STAN are to identify a truck network system across jurisdictional boundaries, help prioritize needed goods movement improvements, help mitigate truck, pedestrian, bicycle movement conflicts, and assist the trucking industry to know which routes are okay to use and which are not. This graphic shows the C-STAN network and the truck crash locations. As shown, truck crashes occur more often on and near the C-STAN routes. This makes sense since C-STAN routes tend to carry more truck volumes. Truck-involved crashes are also concentrated along the freeways and in industrial areas. This graphic shows travel times in the I-710 freeway in the northbound direction. The dashed line shows free flow conditions. Such would occur if you are driving late at night or on a Sunday, for example. In the study area, it should take about 23 minutes to travel the length of the freeway in the study area during free flow conditions. However, at peak rush hour times, that time is more than doubled to over 50 minutes with 27 minutes of delay, or more delay than it would normally take you to drive the freeway under open conditions. Slowest travel occurs from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. In the southbound direction, similar trends occur, but the afternoon-evening is worse with slower speeds and longer travel times than in the morning. We also looked at the condition of bridges in the study area. The percentage of bridges in poor condition or fair condition is higher in the study area than LA County as a whole. The percent of bridges in the study area that are in poor condition is more than double LA County. Several bridges in poor condition occur along I-710, as well as some arterial routes, as shown by the red dots that you see on the map. Pavement conditions along the I-710 freeway overall are somewhat better in the study area as compared to other LA County freeways. This may reflect the work that Caltrans has done over the years to keep I-710 pavement conditions good due to the heavy truck volumes that it experiences. In terms of city street pavement conditions on local streets and local arterials, in the study area, more cities report pavement in good condition as compared to the county. However, several jurisdictions do have pavement considered at higher risk, but none are in the poor category. Note that these data combine actual reporting by cities as well as some estimations, so current conditions in terms of pavement may vary in some cities from what is shown here.
Particulate matter 2.5, commonly referred to as PM 2.5, are small particles less than 2.5 microns in size. Breathing in PM 2.5 is especially harmful to your health because these particles are small enough to get deep into the lungs and even your bloodstream. PM 2.5 levels above 12 micrograms per meter cubed, which exceed federal standards for PM 2.5, occur in the middle and northern portions of the study area, shown in dark blue. Diesel particulate matter, which comes from a variety of diesel engine sources, contains hundreds of different harmful chemicals that can lead to health issues, including increased cancer risk. This map reflects how many tons of diesel PM are emitted per year by both mobile and stationary sources surrounding each census tract. High diesel PM concentrations occur throughout the study area, typically highest in heavy industrial areas and surrounding the ports and freeways. Many factors influence asthma rates, including air pollution. One way to measure asthma rates is the estimated number of emergency department visits for asthma per 10,000 people, which is reflected in this map using data from 2015 to 2017. High rates of asthma incidents are found throughout the study area, particularly south of the 105 freeway and in Vernon and East LA to the north. Cancer risk due to air toxicity is reflected on this map as the number of extra cancer cases per 1 million people. We can see the highest risk shown in dark blue in the Port of Long Beach, downtown Long Beach, and in the northwest of the study area near downtown LA. The lowest risk, shown in yellow, is in the mid-Long Beach, Lakewood, and Paramount areas. Looking at ground toxins cleanup sites, shown as blue dots on this map, we can see many sites throughout the study area. The cleanup sites database of points contains information on numerous types of cleanup sites with varying levels of severity. The dark brown areas on the map indicate areas with exposure to the highest concentrations of cleanup sites and the highest levels of severity.
As we conclude this presentation, we do appreciate the fact that there's a lot of data and a lot of information that has been presented within the slide deck. And we do want to offer you the opportunity to use timestamps to revisit any of these chapters to help further understand the information that we have available for you today. We accept any written comments from you by email at 710quarter@metro.net. We want to make sure that we have opportunities to provide comment and feedback at all 710 task force meetings, as well as other community outreach efforts that we'll be announcing in the coming days. There will be many opportunities for you as a member of the public to provide input and to provide information for us and to help us understand the lived experience for the 710 corridor community members. So these are the key questions that we are asking as we start our first round of feedback with the public and the 710 task force. The first question is this: are there communities that are impacted directly by the I-710 South that should be included in the study area? We know the study area has been discussed for many years. We want to make sure that we're getting it right and that we're not missing any communities that are impacted by the movement of people and goods through the 710 South corridor that should also be part of the study area so that we can develop more data and include it in our process. The second question is, are there data sets that are missing or could be enhanced in this presentation? We have what we believe is the most current data available, but we know there are other data sets out there, especially that may speak more to some of the challenges and disparities faced by the community. So we want to make sure that we're aggregating that information and bringing it into our process here. So we definitely look for your input as to whether or not there are other data sets out there we should be looking at. Third, do these data sets accurately represent the lived experience for community members in the 710 corridor? This is what we call ground truthing. We want to make sure that the information that we provide is relevant and speaks to the challenges that you face as if you live or work in the 710 South corridor. The next question is, what are your initial reactions to the data presented? We know that everyone has different experiences and different opinions and thoughts about what happens in the 710 South corridor, but we're hoping that this complete, comprehensive look at all the different variables and issues associated with the 710 South corridor provide you more information and help to illuminate some of the challenges that you may not be aware of or that you may not have heard about in full. Finally, we want to ask you this question: how do these data sets help inform the vision and goals for the 710 corridor as the 710 task force moves forward to adopting that in the coming months? We know that there is going to be a lot of needs in this corridor, and we understand that the vision and goals are going to differ from different perspectives, different organizations, and different communities. We want to make sure these data sets help to inform that conversation and to make sure that as we move forward, that the vision and goals that we set forth as a 710 task force accurately reflect the needs of the communities impacted in this corridor. So as we move forward here, I want to make sure that you have our contact information. Here you see my information here and ways to contact us by phone, by email, or checking in on us on our webpage, or checking in with us on our Facebook and Twitter accounts. So with that, I do want to thank you and appreciate your time. And if there are any questions, please get in touch, as we want to make sure that this information is available to you and helps all of us to make better decisions about how we invest in the 710 South Corridor. Thank you.